3 vent sample locations on the lab. EV1 will then translate ISS forward on the lab to the port side to get a sample from the oxygen generation assembly vent. The last vent location is on the portinator aft section of the lab to get a sample of the vacuum exhaust system. EV1 will remove the multi-layer insulation to get sample on this vent and then return the insulation. When complete with all of these vents, EV1 will translate back to the airlock. Meanwhile, EV2 will translate to the port lower outboard camera to relocate an Ethernet cable to the base of the stanchion and to pre-stage some tethers. EV2 will then retrieve an articulating portable foot restraint to install on the robotic arm. Once installed on the robotic arm, EV2 will ingress the foot restraint and retrieve the bag with the new camera. Then the robotic arm will fly EV2 over to the camera location for the removal and replacement of the new high-definition camera. EV2 will install a handling aid on the old high-definition camera, release a cable restraint, and demate 2 power cables. They will partially release the old camera using the cam lever and install a lens cover. Then fully release and temp stow the old camera on the outside of the bag. Next, EV2 installs the new camera, removes the lens cover, and stows the old camera inside the bag to stop its thermoplasm. Then they will remate the power cables into the new high-definition camera with wireless access. The rest of this task will be dedicated to properly routing 2 power cable and the wireless access port cable to allow full pan tilt capability for the camera group. This includes installing a clamp and a strap to restrain the cables. Lastly, EV2 will maneuver to the base of the camera stanchion to mate the high-definition wireless access port cable to the Ethernet cable previously relocated. While EV2 works on the camera replacement, EV1 will stow the microorganisms caddy in the airlock and retrieve the DC to DC converter unit jumper cable bag and translate to the P4P5 interface. EV1 will need to drop a green tether to reach on their safety tether. Once at the worksite, EV1 will install the jumper cable between 2 DC to DC converter units that will create additional fault tolerance in the event of an integrated equipment assembly DC to DC converter unit were to fail. The old cables will be stowed on a dummy panel. When complete, EV1 will check with EV2 to see if they need any help with the camera replacement, and then move back to the airlock. EV1 will swap bags to get the alpha magnetic spectrometer or AMS bag, and then translate starboard to the AMS worksite. They will stow the bag on the AMS handrail and then work to relocate a cable that is in the way of the ingress location on the truss. EV2 will be flying on the robotic arm back to the egress position. They will egress and clean up the robotic arm, including stowing the portable foot restraint and translating back to the airlock after they retrieve their bag. They will stow the old high-definition camera and then translate out to the alpha magnetic spectrometer worksite with EV1. Once at the worksite, EV2 will guide EV1 into the truss near the patch panel avoiding areas that could damage the hardware. They will work together to remove beta cloth by cutting the lacing cord. EV1 will test the connector demate simulator tool on the exposed connectors to assess access. Then the two crew will carefully swap positions to allow EV2 to access with the tool at the patch panel location. Again, being careful not to touch any harmful areas. When complete, they will take closeout photos of the patch panel and re-secure the beta cloth. Then EV2 will egress the truss element and EV1 will retrieve the crew lock bag, and both crew members will translate back to the airlock. And that will successfully conclude US Spacewalk 89.
And yes, and I actually have a few show and tell items here. Can we get the image, please? So here is a hi-fi photo of the microorganisms caddy. You can see it has sample canisters on both sides. On the two sample side, this is our control side. So one of those canisters we are never